Hey everybody, sorry I'm a little bit late. Had a slight emergency just before I was about to start, so we had to take care of that. Cheers. Welcome to Mind Over Matter. Jamie-Cinq-Mars here. I'm pretty excited to be with you here today, as I am most days. But the reason why is because I had a great topic that I wanted to discuss, and that topic was goal setting. And in reviewing my material for today, just so you know, I prepared for these days. I'm not just winging it. Being prepared is good. So no, and I've been making some notes, right? And so I was talking it over with my mentor and just discussing, what my plan was and having some, good discussions about what we're going to talk about and how is the best way to approach the goal setting topic, and the notes that I had written and stuff of that nature. And it was brought to my attention that you can't do goal setting without incorporating the concept of why. And it really made a lot of sense. Yeah, even though I hadn't thought of it, and it made a lot of sense, and it kind of, you guys are basically getting a little bonus treat here today, because you're going to get two pieces of the puzzle instead of just one. So that's great. And also it'll give you a snapshot into a future topic on Mind Over Matter, because the future topic is going to, I'm going to want to expand on it, because the show is not long enough for me to be able to get into both topics. So so the goal today is going to be, the topic today is goals. Okay, so I was just going to open with a quote that I had found from Jim Rohn, and it goes. It's a very simple quote, and it really got me thinking. It's the reason why I decided to pick this topic, or why I had written about this topic previously, and I expanded on it for today's show. And the quote is, "Never begin the day until it is finished on paper." And that forced me to sit back and think about that whole phrase. Never begin the day until it is finished on paper. And I found that, and I thought back to myself, and I thought, I thought back, and I said to myself, the days that I have that are most effective are literally the days that I've either written a list the day before or written a list first thing in the morning. Whereas, we always have our to-do list, and we got things that we would need to work on, and a lot of times we keep it mental up in our head, right? And unfortunately, that's not the best way to do it. It needs to be written down. I think that the art of writing things down has become almost, how shall we say, lost, if you will. Because, quite frankly, people don't write anything down anymore. They're using their computers or their laptops or their phones or some sort of electronic device in order to write down their or in order to keep track of their thoughts and their ideas and what they're planning on doing. And I mean, I have a calendar on my phone too, but it's really just serving as a reminder that I got stuff to do, as opposed to here's my list of things to do. Those are more committed appointments and things of that nature. But so before I get into the goals, because that's what that statement really means. Never begin the day until you've finished it on paper. So here's what I plan to do. It's all written out, prioritize, number them, all that kind of stuff. I wanted to touch on the concept of why, because you can write down all the goals you want, and you can go back to them every day. You can all those things. Everything can be written out to the T, to the minute. But if you don't have a why, and if you don't understand what your why is, and you don't have an emotional connection to your why, when you run into the roadblocks, the natural roadblocks that are going to occur when you are running through your day, when you are running for your finish line, you're going to have a hard time staying on track. Because your why isn't big enough. There's a lot of times people say, well, you know, what are you trying to build your business for? Why are you in business? And a lot of them say, well, I'm $50,000 in debt, and I need to get rid of that. And I say, and you know, I don't want to live with that debt anymore. They think that's their why. It's not their why. It's the, I suppose it's the smallest version of their why, right? And you know, if you ask yourself, well, how would it make you feel if you were to get rid of that $50,000 debt? Well, I would get my wife off my back, and it would get, you know, or I would have more time with my family, or I wouldn't have to spend so many hours trading time for money, or, you know, they'll give you some sort of response in that nature. So then you can ask the question again, well, why, or how would it make you feel if your wife wasn't nagging you about the debt load, or if your spouse, we'll say, how's that? Your spouse wasn't nagging you about the debt load, because, you know, men can nag their wives too. So how would it feel if you had more time to spend with your family? How would it feel if you weren't so caught up with trading time for money? And then the response is going to get a little bit deeper, and they would start to talk about how they actually feel about what they're doing and why they're doing it. So what you end up creating is, you, instead of creating a, you know, you're over here and you've got your little $50,000 debt. Right, that's why I'm doing it, $50,000. Instead, when you get the feeling part of it, you stretch that $50,000 debt into a big, tall mountain right here, where it is now, I feel, and it's really emotional. It's an emotional connection. So when you're running towards your goals, your why has to be larger than any one goal that you're making. Well placed or well planned goals turn into dreams, right? That's what they turn into. So your whys must be larger than your goal. So you have to, and I have made some notes here, guys. So if I'm looking away from the camera, it's because the notes are over here, and I just have to take a quick peek. So, because if your why is larger than your goals, then when you miss one of your goals, you can still see your why, and that's really, really important. If you keep your why down here, and it's only this tall, and then you got a goal that's up here, and then you happen to miss that goal, well, you can't see your why because it's way over here. You're on this side, you're way over here, but you can't see your goal because over here, you can't see it. Why? Because it's too small. So once we get that why way, way up here, then you can always see it from down here, even when your goal is missed. You can still see the peak of it, so then you know that it's there. I like to liken it to when you're driving into a new city and you're not familiar with, you know, exactly where you're going, and you don't have your electronic GPS going on. Let's just say you're thrown in that car and you had to get to downtown because your hotel's downtown. So your why is, I need some rest. I've been driving for hours. I'm tired. You know, I need a shower. You know, there's your why. You know, it's way up here. Here is like, oh, I got to find my hotel. I need sleep. I need this. That's way up here. So as you're driving, you know where downtown is, right? It's where all the big buildings are, really, really tall. So as you're driving in, and as you get closer and closer and closer and closer to downtown, no matter if you miss an exit, which would be one of those road bumps, speed bumps along the way to getting to your why, you know, and you miss your exits, and then you got to figure out how to get there. No matter what, your why is still very, very clear, and your goal, or your end goal, to get to that why, is to get to downtown where the tall buildings are. But the buildings are taller than any other mistake you might make along the way. So just remember that if you don't know what your why is, you need to put some time into that. And, you know, I'll get back to that again a little bit later. Just remember that the why has to be bigger than the goals, okay? So now let's get back to the original topic, which was goals. And the question is, do you write down your goals? Because so many people don't. I'm one included, and from the perspective is that I used to never write them down. I used to be very focused on what they were, and I keep them in my head, and it was very, you know, but it is there's a huge difference, which I never really understood, probably until I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That's probably when it first really clicked into my head. You got to write some of this stuff down. And so I did start writing stuff down, and it did make a dramatic difference, and it became this living, breathing. When you want to start to write down goals, I would strongly recommend that you grab yourself a dedicated journal, notebook, goal setting, something, because and it should come with you most of the time where you're going. Like, it should be part of your routine. It should be part of your almost daily life if you want to make a go at something new. And when the goals, because they evolve, and then you can check them off as you go through them, as you hit the ones that you want to hit. You know what let me just pause for a minute here. I forget to do, and it just dawned on me. Slight little glitch in technology here for a second. Oh, I thought I had done that. Alright, well, we're just going to leave that up for now. Okay, well, I'm going to leave that. Go back to my goal setting. Sorry. You can keep track of them, you can check them off. But here's where I think that a lot of people trip up, and this is why I wanted to address it in today's show, was, you know, you set your goal for reaching, let's say 10, I'm just trying to relate it to the online, let's say 10 leads, let's say 100 leads for a week. Okay, so you set your goal, go on to get 100 leads in the week. Weekends, and there you are, and you've only got 15 leads. So you only got 15% of your projected goal. Not so great, right? Failure. Or is it? The reason why I want to bring it up is because it's not failure. All right, okay, guys, it's just not. You have 15 more leads than you had at the start of the week, and that is great. Is it great that you didn't get the 100? Not necessarily, but this is where the real important piece of this puzzle comes in, and you have to start to learn how to analyze the numbers. You've heard the phrase before, know the numbers. It's really important, and when you know your numbers, then you know exactly what it is that you can change in order to get to that 100, or change the 100 to 50, because that's more realistic. We don't know until we break things down. So what I meant by that is, pardon me. When you're asking yourself why you didn't hit the planned target, I'm going to move my notes over here so I'm looking more toward the camera. I'll just look down quickly. Sorry, I lost my place. I appreciate your patience. Here we are. Did you give the question you want to ask yourself is, why didn't you hit that planned target? So you went for 100, you got 15. So why did you only get 15? Now it's time for some honesty, though. And it's time to take a real, honest look. And there are no wrong answers. And remember, you're your own boss. So you're not getting fired because you have to be honest and say, well, I decided I wanted to watch TV instead of make another video. That's the honest answer, right? Nobody's firing you. It's your job. It's your job. It's your business. It's not a job, is what I'm saying. So when you're in your own business, you get to self-evaluate. Okay, so when you self-evaluate, you can be as hard on yourself as you like, but so you need to start to be honest. Was the TV more important? Did you decide to do some yard work? Did you call a friend? Or a friend called you and you ended up on the phone for an hour during your 3 hours of time that you have allotted for your business? So now you only have 2 hours. I mean, couldn't say no to your neighbor, couldn't say no to your sibling, your spouse, some other friend, family member. And when I say couldn't say no, it's, they ask you to help them move a couch. They ask you to help them, whatever. And you just say, you don't say no, I'm busy building my business, or I can't because, you just say yes, right? So those things really factor in, because if you only have 5 hours a week to work on your business and other things cut into your 5 hours, and you only end up working 1 hour in that week, guess what? 15 is a pretty good number. 15 out of 100 is not a bad number if you only gave 20% of your time and you got 15% of your goal. It's a pretty good ratio. So let's think about this, because I face it all the time when I'm working with the students, and they've been given a task, and when they come back, they, well, I didn't, I thought I would really get more leads than that. And then I thought, well, how many did you expect to get? Well, I don't know, more than that. They didn't even set a goal, for starters, number one. Number two, they're frustrated with the number, but they don't know what the number should have been. So you see how goal setting becomes very important? You have to write down the number, go after it, either hit it or exceed it, or fall short, and then take time to look at it. So, and then the other question you want to ask yourself is, did you utilize all the skills that you've learned through all the different tutorials and the training and your mentor and your anybody that you're working with? Did you utilize all the skills? Did you take all the advice that was given to you? Did you follow all the instructions? Did you do everything that let's say you only used 1 hour of your 5. In that 1 hour, did you utilize all the time effectively? Did you make as many videos as you could? Did you write as many ads as you could? Did you do as many PPC ads as you could? Did you whatever it is that you were doing in that hour, what your plan was? Did you get it accomplished, or did you only get half of what you could accomplish? If you normally get 5 videos done in an hour, did you only get 2 done for whatever reason? Right? So it's all about breaking it down. Now, if you come across a time when you look at your plan and you had 5 hours and you got 4 of them in, and you utilized your time really well, remember you're being honest in the first 2 categories, and you can honestly say that you weren't distracted by TV or friends or family or phone calls or any of these things, and you utilized all the skills and you did them to the best of your ability, because maybe you're new. And when you're new, you focus a lot of energy, but sometimes you're just a little bit slower at doing things than someone who's been doing it a little bit longer. Fair enough. You come to the end and you realize, okay, you know what, I gave everything I had, I wasn't distracted, and I still only got 40 leads. So I got 40 leads and I projected 100, but I gave it everything I had. Is 100 a realistic number for yourself to get in a week? It might not be, based on the skill set you currently have and the time you currently have to give, right? If you only have 5 hours a week and the guy next to you has 15 hours a week, and you guys both work relatively the same pace and using the same skills and the same techniques, he's likely to get 3 times as many people or 3 times as many leads, right? So he might end up with 120. So a goal for him of 100 in a week is realistic because he's got 15 hours to work with, whereas you only have 5. So that's why goals are really important, and I find that people get really caught up when they miss the mark. And more importantly, I think the single greatest reason why people don't write down their goals and don't nail down what it is that they're going to plan to do is because they're afraid, they have a fear of missing the mark and failing, right? It's not a failure, guys. It's just not. I was listening to some audio this week, and it's interesting how when you make a plan, because I usually make my plan like as of today, I'll get off this show, and then I will decide to, between today and tomorrow sometime, maybe as late as the weekend, but likely today or tomorrow, I will make a decision on what my topic will be next week. And it's amazing how once you've made a decision, how the things that you're looking for just fall into place. And I was listening to an audio, just randomly pick an audio to listen to when I was driving in my car, and there was a lot of talk about how to view failure. And I was like rapidly taking notes. I had to pull over my car at one point because there was a whole section there. I'm like, this is really good stuff. And I just, like I said, I took some notes, and I'm just going to read you a few of the notes that I have here because I didn't have time to translate these to. I shouldn't say I didn't have time. I actually I didn't get a chance to, and I didn't put it into my daily plan, so it didn't happen. Right? You write down your goals. So failure is only a temporary setback on the road to ultimate success. It's a setback, right? It's just this didn't, okay, I went for 100, I got 40, geez. That's a setback. It's not a, because again, once we reevaluate, should we only be setting our goal for 50 instead of 100? So now this little setback, reevaluate, okay, move on, here we go. Right back at it. I mean, let's consider the fact that if you get 40 leads a week, you're laughing, right? Yeah, this was something that I thought was really interesting, and it was it had to do with brand new people to whatever industry, whatever business, whatever thing that you're doing. And most specifically for our online guys, I would say we would go with the concept of getting leads, and then the concept of talking to prospects one-on-one. And if you're brand new, and if you want to try setting a goal for, let's say, having 100, pardon me, if you're brand new, what I would suggest is that you try, and I recommend, that you would show your link, whether it's online through advertising, through one-on-one people, however you want to do it. But we recommend the online methods that we discussed in Global Online Franchise. But have no attachment to the result, and simply show that link 100 times. Get it out there. No attachment to the link. So your goal isn't sign-ups, it isn't leads, it isn't show your link 100 times. Once you've achieved that goal, set it again, and set it again, and set it again. And no attachment to the result, remember? Because it's just because you're trying to create a new habit of getting that link out there, getting that link out there, getting that link out there. It's a numbers game, guys, so you really have to get that link out there. If you're not showing your link, if you're not sharing your link, you're out of business. Another one, when you're developing when you're working on these goals, and you're moving through the little hiccups, the little setbacks, you have to realize that every single time that you do something that it has any relationship to your business, you're developing your skills. And I think people forget that. Even though it's just a simple task that you've done 100 times, each time you've done it, you've increased your skill level. And as the equation goes that you've heard before, and if you haven't, you have to pen out and write this down: skills plus action equals results. Skills plus massive action equals unlimited success. Right? But the key is the word skills. Right? You have skills. The more you increase the skill set, whether it's new skills or mastering a skill, makes that equation work better. Another phrase I had was failure is simply a detour. It's not a dead end. When you smash into a failure where you find that you didn't hit your mark, and you're frustrated and you're cranky, and you think that you just can't do this, or it's not worth it. Remember, that's a detour. So you hit the failure and you hang a right and go around it, and there you go. You end up back on the road to success again. It's just a detour. It gives you time to evaluate, time to train. The last thing I have notes from that one is failure is a fertilizer. When I heard it, it made me laugh, but it makes sense. Failure is the fertilizer. It's the fuel you use to train and develop skills. Skills that become habits. And of course, I'm paraphrasing this whole thing because it was all in audio, so I'm just writing it out. Skills that become habits, or things that you do second nature. Something like brushing your teeth. You don't have to be shown how to brush your teeth when you're as an adult. When you're a child, you get taught how to brush your teeth, right? And they show you how to do it properly. You're up, down, all that fun stuff. But at a certain point, you just brush your teeth. Nobody shows you how. Nobody critiques it. You just brush your teeth. Well, maybe your dentist does, but as a general rule, you're on your own. You know how to brush your teeth. But it's the concept of and if you end up at the dentist and you end up with lots of cavities, they're going to want to work on that skill of brushing your teeth. The whole idea is that the failure is a fertilizer and it's fuel to train. You know that phrase here, the phrase that says "no pain, no gain." I like to change that phrase, and it kind of came to me one day, and it made me chuckle because I thought it was funny. You might not find it funny, but no train, no gain. Instead of no pain, no gain. If you don't train, you have no gain. It's training is the key, guys. And training means you're going out and doing stuff and making it happen. So sum this all up, because I could see we're at about a 30-minute mark, and I'd like to, get out of here, on not keep you guys for too much longer. I don't have the chat window open because I think I messed something up here when I created the this session. So I do apologize if there were any questions that needed to come out, and I will figure out what I did there and make sure I get it right the next time. See, there's a little hiccup, right? So it's a detour. So the next time I come on, it'll get it right. It's not that, oh, that's it, I can't do them anymore. Hands in the air, we're done. No more mind over matters, because I couldn't figure out the chat window. I have a choice. Figure it out so that next time I get it right. No big deal. There's a summary all into itself. Basically, the summary is this, and I'll reiterate that quote. Never begin the day until it is finished on paper. Write down your goals, set realistic goals, and the only way you know that they're realistic is if you take the time to have some honest evaluation if you miss the mark. If you don't have a goal written down, you can't miss the mark because you don't know what the mark is. So the phrase, oh, I thought I should have done better. Compared to what? Can't compare it to somebody else because you are not anyone else, so you don't think the same way. You may not have the same amount of hours. You certainly won't have the same skill set, and even with the same skill set, you're both going to work differently. So comparing yourself to somebody else is not a goal. I want to get 100 leads like Jamie does. I want to get 500 leads like Jamie does. You can't put yourself into that arena. It's set your own goal, hit it, don't hit it, evaluate, move forward. Adjust, move forward. Don't forget the adjust part. Okay, so you got to write down your goals, and if you don't know what your why is, and I mean a real why, money is a result. It's not a why. Okay, guys, money is a result, not a why. It's the result of action that you've taken. That's what money is. That will come, but you need a why. It has to be strong. It has to be emotional. You have to be emotionally connected to the result of that why. Emotionally connected to the result. So if you're some hard-nosed guy who doesn't like to show his feelings, go into a quiet room, spend some time figuring out your why to the point where you have an emotion, and if you don't need to share it with anybody. Nobody needs to know what your why is. You don't have to share that with the world. You don't have to announce it to the world. That's fine. But you need to know what it is. Whether you keep it in a little piece of paper in your wallet, whether you have it taped to the inside of your glove box so you can quickly peek at it when you're driving or whatever. It's something that you can look at every single time you hit a speed bump. Every single time you only get 40 out of 100. Every single time somebody tells you that you're crazy, or somebody says that you couldn't do it, or what are you bothering to do this for? The why is what you look at and go, this is why I'm doing it. So your opinion doesn't matter. Or this setback is just temporary. I'm going to figure out how to get around it, and we're going to move on. That's what the why does. So it's really important. So here's what I want to leave you with. Two things. Number one, get to work on that why. Even if you think you already have it, spend some time evaluating it again. If you need some help, contact your mentor, contact a friend, contact somebody you can trust to work with on developing that why to the point where it's something that nobody could ever take away from you. It's going to be there. It's going to drive you. It's going to be the reason why you get up after you get kicked down, because you're going to get kicked down. If I make you one promise, that will be it. You're gonna hit roadblocks. You're gonna hit setbacks, but your why is what's going to keep you rolling through. So work on the why. Number two, for next week, I want you to make sure that you have well, you want you to write down your goals individually. Each one of you write down your goals, set yourself a goal to have done before next Thursday. Okay? I'll have the chat window working, so you'll have the ability to let me know if you've achieved it, if you haven't, and if you haven't, your evaluation of why, you'll be able to figure it out. But I want everyone on this call to set the goal that I'm going to give you a goal, and I want you to write it down, and I want you to complete it. So today's Thursday. Next Thursday, that's 7 days, of course, because there's a week. I'm going to say 5 videos. I know it's pretty low. It's less than 1 a day. That's the goal. That's what I'm giving you. By all means, you can go get 20, 30, 40, 50 done. It's up to you. Do 10 a day and come back with 70. It doesn't matter. But minimum of 5. I'm being very friendly here, and I know that, but that's okay. It's the first goal that I'm going to set for you. All right, guys. Again, I'm sorry that the chat window's not working. I can't accept any questions because I, didn't set that up properly. And when we want to go into a little bit of self-evaluation, it's because I was in a little bit of a rush. I didn't give myself enough time beforehand, and then something happened, which ended up making me about 5 minutes late. So, as you can see, there's my self-evaluation. I did not set myself up for success there, and guess what? We had a 95% success. It's up and running. Everything's going. We're here. Hi. But we got no chat window. So anyway, 5 videos, 7 days, and you need to work on your why. I don't need to know what it is. You don't need to tell me what it is, but you do need to get it so that you know what it is. And it needs to be bigger than any goal you're going to set while on your mission to get there. Okay? All right, guys. That's it for today. Have yourself a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.